Hello, my name is Brandon Goodson, and I'm a senior here at Liberty. I'm a business marketing major, and I'm here to talk to you about my right to bear arms, as it says in the Second Amendment of the Constitution. There's been a lot of controversy whether to implement gun control laws here in the United States over the past few years. The reason for this being shootings either at Virginia Tech or in Newtown, Connecticut, where people are really outraged about the fact that people are killing innocent people and innocent people are getting killed. But I'm here to argue that it is not the guns that are necessarily the problem here, that is the people themselves, and we should still have that right to bear arms. The first point that I'll be talking about today is that guns do not kill people. People kill people. The right to own a gun comes with a responsibility to use it properly and safely. In a recent article here by Armstrong, he quotes here that the proper purpose of government is to protect individual rights. The government has no right to violate an individual's right, even on the pretext that others may not handle their liberty effectively or responsibly. Should the government outlaw large sodas on the ground that some people sugar themselves to death? Of course not. And the same reasoning applies here. So basically what Armstrong's saying here is just because people choose to take their own responsibility out of hand and use it uncautiously, like for the example, if you want to take a large soda and drink too much sugar and harm yourself by that, then that doesn't give the government permission to take away your right to drink soda. I mean, I honestly feel like that for the people who use their rights responsibly, that's not fair, and it makes no sense to be able to take that right away from that person. And then another article here entitled Gun Responsibility, Author Mark Bonham writes how the National Rifle Association states that guns are no different than other weapons. If someone has a desire to hurt or kill someone, they could easily use their fist, knife, or club. Just because guns are banned does not mean that people are going to stop necessarily killing people, because, like it or not, the fact is that there's evil in this world and there's sin, and that people will still use and find a way to kill people, whether it's with a gun or not. My next point here is that guns are still used negatively in gun-controlled countries. For an example, France. France has very strict gun control laws, but also in France, there's still been mass shootings there, and people would argue, why is France still having problems with guns and murders and this sort of thing, even since they have these laws? But that comes back to my point as to why that just because you don't have rights to a gun doesn't mean that it's going to stop murder. The article entitled here, France, Where Fear and Taboo Controls Guns More Than Law, states, the laws are so strict they cannot be effectively implemented. That is why, mostly for bureaucratic reasons, more than 16 million weapons are unaccounted for and kept illegally. According to a small arms survey, mostly by otherwise law-abiding French citizens, still per capita, our murder rate is a fraction of the American one. So here in France, there still is a problem with this murder, even though they have these strict gun laws, and it will continue to be a problem because, like it or not, the evil in this world will continue to exist. An individual who is wishing to harm another person will just turn to other weapons if they cannot use a gun. So, for example, here in this quote says, this doesn't mean France is not growing more violent. Its underworld is changing and expanding fast. Gangsters now use rocket-propelled grenades and bazookas to attack bank trucks and military-grade, fully automatic weapons to kill their guards. So what are the people of France doing when they can't have guns? They're turning to other ways to be able to do the exact same thing that they would do with guns. I'm not promoting that. I'm not saying that that's the right thing to do, but I'm just saying here that people are still violent and they will still find ways to do wrong things. Do I wish that we could live in a society where people wouldn't kill people, and if guns were to be taken away, that that there wouldn't be any murder? That would be nice, but that's not going to be the fact. And then my next point here is that people should not fear the government. The government should fear the people. That's our whole Second Amendment right. The Second Amendment right gives us the right to bear arms. But it is sad here that there is a lot of Americans that do not even know what the Constitution says, and that's just very sad to me. It says here, a solid majority of the U.S. public, 73%, believes the Second Amendment to the Constitution guarantees the rights of Americans to the guns. But here it says 20% believe the amendment only guarantees the rights of state militia members to own guns. So this quote right here is just, like I said again, sad to me that Americans don't even know what their own Constitution says. And Americans, like I said, are given the right to democracy and gun rights in the Constitution's Second Amendment. It says here, similar arguments about Obama and other politicians propose gun control as being an attempt to disarm Americans in an effort to institute a tyrannical big government have made in recent months by various public officials, media pundits, and anti-gun control rallies, which are overwhelmingly attended by white men. So what this article is saying is that Obama and other politicians, are they trying to disarm Americans so that they can implement other laws? We should not fear the government. The government should fear us. If something happens and the government takes away our right to bear arms, well, they have the right to anything. I mean, they can do anything that they want, and they have us by the hand, and we have no way to defend ourselves. And then it says here, the amendment has, however, been an enormously effective tool for those gun laws from taking root in the first place. It's like I said, the Second Amendment it's helping us. It's keeping this law intact, and because the Constitution says that, that's why we're still able to have guns here today. And then this does bring me to my last point here. It just says guns should not be portrayed as an object of fear, yet a tool to use as sport and, most importantly, defense. Kids these days should be taught gun safety, not gun fear. My fear is that kids and this upcoming generation, that they're going to be taught to fear guns. Oh, guns. But guns are not bad necessarily. Guns are good. Guns are good to protect you, especially the males coming up in society. If somebody comes to your door with a gun, you need to protect your family. You need to have a gun, and you need to be defense for your family and be there. So I believe that kids should be taught gun safety, not gun fear. And then the article entitled here that says, should gun safety be taught in schools? Perspective of teachers' rights. In total, 62% of the 102 respondents indicate that they favor the teaching of gun safety, while 13% disapproved and 25% had no opinion. Overall, 28.4% of the respondents supported the teaching of gun safety in grades pre-K through first grade. About 54% indicated that police or trained military personnel should do the teaching of this subject in schools, while 6.9% suggest that teachers should do the teaching. So this says here that basically there's different ways of being taught to kids how to teach safety to these kids. I believe, as a parent, you should have guns in your house. You should have them as defense, and you should raise your kids not to fear these objects, but to use them as good, as in sport, hunting, doing whatever that sort of stuff you would like to do. It's a good thing. Provide for your family in hunting. Provide for your family in defense. It just all involves in the same line. And then guns should not be demonized, but demon is not the gun, but in the poor character of those who use them incorrectly. So there's nothing wrong with the gun itself. The gun itself has never caused any harm. The gun itself will never cause any harm. It is always will be the person using the gun to use it for harm. So therefore, like I stated earlier, that just because certain individuals are taking their right and using it the wrong way does not mean that the gun should be outlawed. And then my last article here is just back from Mark Bonham. He writes how we should be able to own guns. However, this right must be earned and practiced with responsibility. Guns are very effective weapons to be in hands of those who do not know how to properly treat them. So again, like he's saying, it is a responsibility and it is a privilege to be able to own a gun, and you should take the correct safety and implement it and when having guns and owning guns, but you should be able to have them. And that does conclude my speech here today, and it is just a speech to make you aware of how that I feel that people that are trying to implement gun control laws do not fully know what the Constitution says and do not fully know that Guns do not kill people. People kill people. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great rest of your day.